Okay then guys, what's going on? Cloud Plays here and welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're inside of Wayfinder, the ARPG MMO game that we've all been waiting for. But I do have my concerns about it. We'd be lying if we said as a content creator all we do is buff smoke up devs at rear ends, and we do make sure that we have the complete opinion from one side to the next. So today we're going to be looking at the negatives and my fears inside of this game that I hope do not seem to materialize. With that being said, if you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated. Now with that being said, let's dive on into some Wayfinder. So starting off, there is one thing that I know full well is a damn negative, and this is something which has really irritated me as an overall, and I know is something that has tickled quite a few people inside of the community, and this is character selection. The problem with it is it's a selection. There's no character builder inside of this game at all, and it's not your typical style of an MMO, but this is closer towards more the Valorant styled character in an MMO aspect. A little bit more like Warframe, where we have a strict selection of character suits. What this does mean is there's no individuality inside of these characters, and if you want to, you and your friends could all run the exact same character, and based on the way that the lore actually runs it, essentially what they're saying is these characters can be together in the same bundle of time because they all come from different aspects of time within the same time period. This for me is a really downside to things. It takes away the immersion and it takes away the personalization when it comes to how it is you can customize your character. Now each character does have its own customization options with a load of different armor and gear that it can utilize, with an array of weapons that you guys can attach to it, but nonetheless this does limit it quite a bit, and the reason it limits it quite a bit is because to each one character it has only 3 abilities plus an ultimate, and they are not interchangeable. This could be an issue to cause for stagnant gameplay, and this is something again which really concerns me. Each weapon has its own ability though, which adds a small amount of diversity, and we still have the light and heavy attack abilities with these weapons also, but I would like to see sort of a catalogue of abilities that you can switch in and out, a lot like we did in a lot of other games such as maybe even Hogwarts Legacy or Diablo series as an overall. Having only 3 abilities plus an ultimate plus your light and heavy attack inside of your weapons does cause for a bit of stagnant gameplay if you guys are going to be putting in anything from maybe 4 to 5 to 6 plus hours a day inside of this game, like a lot of people do inside of the generic MMO standard. This is an absolute issue if this is something that they don't add into when it comes to the updates. Main reason for it is because longevity wise you don't want to be playing the same 3 abilities, and having build customization is a massive thing within the ARPG community. Build customization, it goes up from quite a lot of different things, taking a main class or character or ability style and being able to interchange abilities to work in tangent alongside a stat roll of catalogs to be able to utilize those at the maximum degree. This game does not seem to utilize that so much, and as for any sort of like skill tree or anything, I'm yet to dig into that information, and we are going to be looking in. I have now finally had contact with the community manager from Wayfinder, and we've now got access to the next beta interchange. So hopefully with whatever it is that we're allowed to say, I'll be allowed to say a little bit more later down the line as we get in closer towards the next beta access. Next up, something that a lot of content creators have already spoken about previously, and something I want to dabble into, is the open world. Allegedly, it is pretty small based on what a few content creators have played of it. Now, apparently it's due to expand over time with updates and such like that, but I'm really hoping that these are regular updates as that happens to be the case. Regular update releases, and the base release of the game of this will need to be big enough to not make this game tank at all. This thing needs to be at least a decent level of sizing, because if I know one thing about the gaming community is when a game does drop, we dive on in, and we don't dive on in for the first half an hour. We dive on in and spend the next couple of days grinding out as much as we can to get as close to max level as possible, and then it's an enjoyment of the grind. Now that's what we're also going to talk about, the grind versus available activities, and the side of the world is actually really important, and I'm hoping that it is big enough on a base release to give us a good grind for upgrades, and it's not like maybe our Outriders in a base of having to rinse and repeat one activity that we have to do for hours on end to level up these items and upgrade the gear that we withstand. The problem with this is if it's not big enough and there aren't many activities, this game's not going to last longer than a month at most, like a lot of other titles that we've seen come and go over due course of years. This for me is probably again another really big highlight, mainly because a lot of people will grind out an ARPG and an MMO, and if this is not a standard just one and done game, which we know it's not, this is going to be a live service, rinse and repeat movement with season passes and all sorts of stuff like that. This needs to have a decent base level that we can dive into to be able to enjoy for quite some time to make this a regular game that we are going to play. On side of that, when we're talking about the updates, they also need to be regular. Maybe every couple of months or so we need an update with some new stuff to jump into, an expansion on the world, and as to whether that's going to actually happen, again, we'll have to wait and see. We don't have any information on that as of right now, but I'm really hoping that this is not a game that comes along, plays really well for the first month, and then we sit stagnant for another month before we move on to the next game. This for me is a really big worry, and I want to know what your guys' concerns are in the comment section below, and if there are any good ones in there, then we may feature them in the next video for Wayfinder. If you haven't already, make sure you're smashing the beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe. We are covering a lot of games here right now, including Wayfinder and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is due to release at the end of this month. Thank you so much again for watching, guys. If you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated. And with that being said, I'll see you in the clouds.